What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is definitely not the type of video that I wanted to make. However, I do feel that it's absolutely necessary, just because if I don't put this information out there, I feel like I'm enabling what happened. And I just feel like overall I kind of owe it to the customers, and this will all make sense here shortly. But this video is about Chris Carby, also known as Slowpoke Tuning. And from my understanding, he is a freelance tuner that basically tunes a lot of cars on the East Coast, and he kind of bounces around and goes to a lot of places in the Southeast. So he goes to a lot of reputable shops, and he tunes there. He rents the dyno, and then he tunes it. Once again, this video is not monetized, and I'm not looking to gain anything from this. If anything, I'm just trying to spread the word so I can basically warn some of you in case you were to do business with this guy. Now, I'm going to try not to mention the shop that built the car and stuff, just because after I basically spoke about them on the first video, they didn't really reply. As far as I know, they haven't posted anything, so I'm going to try to leave them alone. I guess they don't want the smoke after all, which is exactly what you should do as a business owner, is probably, if you have a disgruntled customer, you should probably just not say anything. If you want to catch all the details and everything, I've already made 2 videos on this subject where it kind of walks you as it's happening, and things were going on basically. So if you're interested in it and you wanted to see the entire thing, I recommend you watch those 2 videos. I'll link them down below. So to give you a brief summary of everything that happened, so to go back to 2020, Chris Carby, Slowpoke, he was the one that tuned the car once we did the build, and he's actually tuned it twice since. And I had no complaints about those tunes. Now that I know a little bit more, I mean, I'm not going to get too much into it, but now that I know a little bit more, I probably wouldn't choose him as a tuner for many different reasons. But anyways, Chris Carby tuned the car, and I didn't have any real complaints as far as the service. After the second tune last year, I've always wanted a standalone ECU. I've always wanted the fail-safes. This is a pretty big investment, and I want to try to preserve as much as I can with it. So why not do an aftermarket ECU? After all, the stock ECU in these cars is damn near 20 years old. So I've always wanted to do a standalone ECU. Anyways, last year, at the very end of the tune, I spoke to him about a standalone ECU. I hadn't made up my mind on which one I wanted to go with, and Chris Carby recommended a Haltech ECU. So at the time, looking back at it now, I didn't know at the time, but he actually recommended a Haltech 1500, which is not really compatible with the Evo 9s because of MyVec. And I didn't know that back then. It makes a lot more sense now. Anyways, he recommended that. I asked him about a few other things that I should be getting. And I asked him if I should replace the boost controller, same thing with the wideband controllers, and some questions about sensors for fail-safes. And he gave me his recommendations, and I listened. Anyways, fast forward to about 2 months ago, back in March of 2023, we went ahead and got the Haltech installed, thanks to the help of Rodney, and we brought it out to him for him to tune. For the sake of time, I'll go ahead and speed through it. But basically, Chris Carby ran into an issue with the car where the boost was basically spiking at high boost. And now that we know that is because the boost controller was configured incorrectly. It's correct for the stock ECU, but the Haltech requires you to basically route it, the vacuum line's a little bit different. So we didn't know that. He obviously didn't know that. And he went ahead and attempted to continue to tune the car. 4 hours go by in the tune, and he continued to have issues with the car. However, he kept calling the shop owner back and forth and back and forth. And there was a moment where basically I could tell where things were not going well. And the shop owner discussed something with him. And to make a long story short, he ended up bringing the boost down and making the car look like it made a certain amount of power that it didn't. And now that we know, it is physically impossible for this car to make that type of power, because whenever you try to make anything above 25 pounds of boost, the power band basically goes up and down because the Haltech is confused and doesn't know what you're trying to do. So basically, it tries to pull the boost back down, and that's why the power curve spikes. And this is something obviously we learned after we got tuned by the guys over at Corr Performance. And this is the way the boost controller has been for years. Like, in case anybody were to think that maybe I don't know, try to frame this guy for something, here's a video that I posted a few days, and I'm showing you a screen recording of the actual YouTube video of me doing the intercooler piping, and you can clearly see that the nipple that's exposed is the one that's supposed to go to the wastegate. So just in case anybody had any doubts, here it is, here's the proof, and you're more than welcome to go to my previous videos and point out wherever you saw that same nipple exposed that was not supposed to be exposed. I want to make sure that I emphasize that I don't blame the boost controller being configured incorrectly for the Haltech on Chris Carby. At the end of the day, I could have bought the Haltech boost controller, and I chose not to. But the reason why I didn't end up buying the Haltech boost controller, which I really did want to, is because I asked for his recommendations, and he basically told me I didn't need it, so I decided to focus my efforts elsewhere. What I do blame Chris Carby for is the fact that he ran into an issue, and instead of telling the customer that he ran into an issue and he didn't know how to figure it out, he decided to lower the boost down and make the car look like it made a certain power that it didn't. According to Chris Carby, the car made 650 horsepower at 38 pounds of boost and like 530 foot-pounds of torque. And in actuality, that is not the case, and he essentially scammed me. Once I caught him in the scam, he tried to insinuate that the car must have somehow reverted back to wastegate boost, which is not the case, and it was in fact confirmed by Majestic Motorsports. The tuner there was nice enough to go on the laptop, and he basically came to the conclusion that the car was being told to run the way that it was. And it was later confirmed also by Corr Performance, the same exact thing. So wastegate on this particular car is at 17 pounds, and the tune that Chris Carby produced was around 23 pounds. There wasn't much difference in power, but they're running at two different boost levels. Anyways, I make a very, very brief video about the whole situation, and I was very, very transparent during that video. I was very, very mild during that video, and even the people that know me said that I took it very easy on these guys just because I didn't want any issues. Honestly, I really just wanted the car fixed, and at the time I just wanted my money back. But after getting the car retuned by the guys over at Corr Performance here, we've learned that it is confirmed that these guys did try to scam me. And I say try because I did get my money back, but that still doesn't negate the fact that you basically try to take advantage of somebody. And this is why I say that they think that I'm stupid, because they thought they can get away with it. Anyways, I make that video, and I guess Chris Carby saw it, and he didn't like it, so he went ahead and blocked me, and he decided to make a post about me. Now, I knew he blocked me because during that time, I overanalyzed the whole situation. Keep in mind, I wasn't sure really what it was, but I had a hunch that obviously I had gotten scammed. It was my theory. I went back to that chat, and I noticed that I wasn't able to message him back. And not that I wanted to, but that's when I noticed that he blocked me. I didn't think much of it. I actually ended up hitting one of the homies up, and I actually told him, if this doesn't show if you're guilty, then what will, basically. So in my eyes, it was just Chris Carby basically trying to have some closure on his end and kind of just, like, hey, leave me alone. So during this week where he posted this stuff, I was moving, so I was very busy. I wasn't really sure what was going on. Quite frankly, I had enough to worry about with shipping these cars and moving on and stuff. It wasn't until a week later that I actually found out that this post had happened. And how I found this out is I was going to leave it alone. I was ready to just move on, get the car retuned, and I probably wouldn't have made this video. So anyways, I was minding my own business on Instagram, and I came across a post. One of the guys that we know, between me and him, we kind of battle back and forth. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I do the silly little rear wiper Wednesday thing. And so somebody makes a post about rear wipers, and they just happen to be friends with Chris Carby. So I go down in the comments, and I see this comment by Chris Carby. So I see his comment. It says something like, cars with rear wipers belong on the Bud Light can. At the time, I didn't really understand what he was talking about. Keep in mind, I was moving and kind of isolated from everything. So turns out that Bud Light did something that was controversial. I'm not going to get much into it. I'm sure you guys already know by now. Anyways, I was mind blown by that comment. For starters, how immature of a business owner. Like, it was just very, very amateur to see a comment with your business name attached to it and you like make such a comment. Like, that is very, very amateur. I'm not even a business owner and I know this. Like, you just don't do that. Like, it's stupid. Like, you're literally shooting yourself in your own foot basically by making those types of controversial comments. And I'm not offended by it. I'm still not offended by it. I'm not a sensitive guy. At the end of the day, it's bro talk, but like, you just don't do that if you're a business owner, just because of the consequences that may come with it. You may offend somebody that, I don't know, is into that stuff. So I was just mind blown, and I actually take a screenshot of it and I send it to Rodney, and I said, there's no way this guy is making comments like this and he's not talking shit about me. So this is how I actually found out about the post that he made a week later. So anyways, Rodney sends me screenshots of the post, and I had no idea this was a thing. I was so upset. I had so much stuff going on, and then on top of that, I got this guy talking shit and making lies and all this stuff. I was freaking pissed, man, because as much as I hate drama, I hate liars even more. Now, I don't have a problem with him, telling his side of the story. That's not an issue to me. I actually anticipated he would. You have the right to do that. But first and foremost, why block me? Number two is, why are you making things up and reaching for things to try to make me look bad? Irrelevant things that had nothing to do with the current time and the things that happened the day that you scammed me. So he starts talking about how a couple days before the tune, he helped me with a bass map, which I gave him full credit for in one of my videos. And he basically starts talking about how we wired things incorrectly, which we actually didn't. What it was is that for whatever reason, the way that the ground is put on a wideband controller, the way that Haltech recommends you to ground it wasn't working for us. So we decided to, after wiring it the right way, we decided to basically ground it to the actual car, and that seemed to keep it going. And because it was timing out for whatever reason. And if you guys watch my videos, this was when the car was running really rough, really rich, and it ended up spitting out like a quarter tank of gas in like 15 minutes. So we ended up having to ground it to the actual chassis of the car, and that seemed to make it work. So I don't know why he felt the need to throw that in there. It wasn't even relevant to the things that happened during the tune. He made sure to emphasize that he did that for free. Now, I'm here to let you know, like, I would have paid for that if you required it. I don't have a problem paying for service. If you know me, you know I don't cheap out. So if you have a certain requirement, I'll do it. And not to mention, if he didn't want to do it, especially for free, I was already prepared to trailer the car to the shop to have him tune it. He then started talking about how the car was late on a dyno for him, and that wasn't my fault. So I, prior to getting there, and I tend to over prepare. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very responsible person. So before the tune, the day before, I actually sent the message to the shop. Granted, it was a little bit late, so I sent it in the evening. I was planning to get the injectors cleaned, and I sent the message to the shop. I sent it a little bit late, around 6 p.m. that is, and I didn't get a response. So I decided to try to show up an hour early. I ended up getting there about 50 minutes early, and for whatever reason, the ejector machine was busted. So I show up to the shop and I stand around for about 10 minutes. They see me, they just don't acknowledge me, and that's something that's been a common thing in that shop, where customer service is just ass, honestly. So I get there and I stand around for about 10 minutes, and then I go ahead and they finally address me, the receptionist, which she was great. I have no beef with her. But the problem was that the ejector machine was busted. And Chris Carby knows because he was there. And he came, we talked a little bit, and he got to watch her basically struggle with that. And that took a lot longer than we anticipated. So the car was late on the dyno, but it wasn't my fault. Then I don't remember if he said it in the actual post or in the comments, but he ended up saying that, which is genius, by the way. Chris, this is very, very good, because I have no way to prove it, but he said that I deleted his comments on the YouTube video that I made, which is a complete lie. It's total bullshit. I don't have a reason to delete your comments. You're the one that's running away from the truth, which is why you blocked me multiple times. And this is why I'm sitting here in front of the camera. I don't do this. If you watch my videos, you know I do the third person thing. I don't do this, but I'm standing in front of the camera so you see that I'm not hiding from anything. In fact, during that video, which this makes a lot more sense now, one of the guys, I guess one of his fanboys, which I anticipated that fanboys would come and rush me, he came in and he ended up saying that I deleted his comments and I didn't understand what he was talking about. I actually even challenged him somewhat, like, hey, if Chris wanted to come in here, like, I could make him look bad, which that wasn't the intent of the first video. I even actually recommended his services to some of the guys. I remember the first comment that I got was like, I wanted to go to him, but now I don't think I am. And I actually said, hey, if you're on stock ECU, I think you should reconsider. And he can tune well on the stock ECU. Then he started talking about how me and Rodney configured the AIT sensor incorrectly and all this crap. First of all, we called Haltech and they actually walked us through how to do this. And this was a conversation we actually had with the shop owner and everything. And that's when they told me that, they got beef with some guys at Haltech because supposedly they're assholes or whatever. So check this out. You notice the 109 Air? Watch this. So at this point, this guy's just reaching for stuff to just make me look bad and make himself look better, which is complete ass. And then he blocks me on top of that, so I can't even defend myself, which is very cowardly. Anyways, he's even at some point he started talking about the amount of money that I spent, because in the previous videos I said that I spent damn near 10 grand and I got a slower car, which is factual. So he was nice enough to, I guess, put all the parts together and give and start saying the MSRP price, which he narrowed it down to $5,500, which is pretty accurate. So $5,500 on all the Haltech stuff, and then I spent another $1,400 on an intercooler and the piping. Then I had to get a custom lower intercooler pipe, which shout out to the homie Barefoot, he took care of that, but he doesn't work for free. So that was like $200 to $300. And then I ended up getting the fuel pressure regulator. That was like $200 to $300. And then all the lines and fittings and all that stuff. That's a couple $100. And all the small little things. I even bought a new laptop just for this, just for the Haltech. And if you do the math on all that stuff, and not to mention your tune, which you scammed me for, which was $1,400, plus another $100 for the injector cleaning. If you do all that math, that's about 10 grand. So nobody did anything with that math. That math is accurate. Then he starts throwing a bunch of data and all this evidence that he has, and how supposedly he can. So he did admit that he can finesse the dyno. So in that post, he basically said, oh, I can't finesse the boost. So he's basically implying that he can finesse the dyno. But now we know all that stuff is BS, because we know for a fact there's no way the car can make 38 pounds of boost the way the boost controller was set up. It just, the Haltech would not allow you to go over 25 pounds. I already told you what he said in that post. I make an alternate account, and I go in there and I tell my side of the story there. And of course, the guy doesn't, keep in mind the post is a week long. I tell my side of the story. Of course, he doesn't respond to mine. I got a few of the homies that actually jump on there and they try to defend me. Shout out to those guys, by the way. But basically, he responds to their messages, but he doesn't respond to mine. And about 6 hours later, with no response, he ends up blocking that account as well. So I don't understand, what is it that you're running from? The truth? Because I don't understand. And now, I mean, you kind of already exposed yourself, just because I didn't expect the actual outcome, like the reason why the car wasn't making the power. or it was slow, I didn't expect it to be so black and white. So Chris Carby basically already exposed himself in my last video without even me trying, just by the truth. So one of the things that I kept from you guys from the first video is the many different interactions that I had with Chris after I found out. Well, I had my theory that he had scammed me, and I basically reached out to him, and the responses that I got from him. So for starters, at the moment, he wasn't a suspect. When I first found out that the car was slower, I was basically just trying to get to the root of the problem. So I reached out to him. We were both very calm. And there was a point where basically I realized that the car wasn't making above 23 pounds of boost. And I reached out to him, and he basically told me he had no idea why I was doing that. First and foremost, his unwillingness to help was very, very eye-opening. Here, I just got tuned by you, and I'm having issues. The car feels slow. I've never felt it at the power that you claim the car made, and I had legitimate concerns. This guy's basically just like, oh, nah, I don't know. It could be this, could be that, but I don't know. He knew that I had a new laptop, and he never offered to help. Obviously, later on, he ends up throwing this, that he was waiting for us to do the sensors because we didn't have time, or the actual the sensors for the fail-safes. We were missing a piece. So we ended up ordering that stuff, and he agreed that he was going to do it later. But at that moment, that stuff didn't matter because the car didn't make the power that you claimed. So all that stuff went out the window, and he never really tried to help until I threw that in his face. So after I had my theory that these guys scammed me, I didn't talk to them and until I had the proof. So I went and took the car to Majestic Motorsports, and we had that test hit done where the car didn't even make 500 horsepower. And after I had the proof, I went ahead and sent that to Chris Carby, and I also sent it to the shop owner. And to the shop owner first, I regurgitated what he had ended up telling me, which was the day of the tune. He told me, I swear to God, guys, he said this. He said, we could tell you the car made 700 and you would never know. So it was like him hinting to calm down, but also he was kind of telling on himself, and that's actually what ended up happening. So to Chris Carby, I sent him the same data, the same dyno graph, and I ended up, I was a little aggressive, but looking back at it now, I kind of took it easy on him. But I ended up saying that basically the tuner at Majestic Motorsports had confirmed that the car was being told to run this way. So I capitalized the word you, and I guess he didn't like that I capitalized the word you. So he starts getting aggressive with me, and he said that I should start acting like a level-headed adult, which was, that was the first disrespectful thing and unprofessional thing that he said to me. He's basically calling me a child. And I think I had valid reason to basically act the way that I was. Here you have a customer that just, spent all this money. I paid you $1,400 for a tune that I never got. And you basically didn't try to help, was basically denying the whole time, which looking back at it now, he probably didn't try to help just because he knew what he did, and he knew there was no fixing it. So, I mean, at least fake the funk with that. But anyways, I feel like I had valid reason to act the way that I was. And at no point did this guy basically try to take care of the customer. I never felt that way. Anyways, I basically start kind of going off on him, and he hits me with LMFAO. That was the second thing that he did, where here you have a customer that has a reason to be upset, and your response is laughing my fucking ass off. That's how he responded to the customer. And at no point during this whole interaction do I feel like I was acting out of line or anything like that. So then he starts talking about how he basically he starts throwing a lot of things that he's done in the past, like how many times have I tuned your car, and he starts talking about his Navy service. Like, this is typical scammer talk. Like, this is what they do whenever they get caught or that things not going the way that they wanted to. They basically resort to trying to make the person look bad. It's like some sort of like reverse psychology. Except I don't know if he didn't know this. I don't know what it was, but like, who are you throwing your Navy service at? Like, you did 12 years in the Navy or whatever it was, or was it 10? I've been in 18 years active duty in the Marine Corps. Like in the Marine Corps, bro. Like who the fuck are you flexing on? Then he starts talking about how Justin, which is the shop owner, he basically kind of snitched on him because he ended up saying that the reason why Justin doesn't like me is because I ended up getting all the work done from them, and the way that shop works is they don't allow you to buy your own parts. So they want to buy the parts for you, which I get it. I'm not gonna knock the hustle. They want to buy the parts so they can make profit off it. But if you're gonna buy the parts in an enclosed engine that I can't see, I'm gonna make sure that I got what I got, and that's the reason apparently why Justin doesn't like me. So I spent damn near 10 grand on stuff, and you are mad that the customer is verifying he got what he asked for. Like these business owners, man, I don't know what's up with them, but like you want to talk about childish? Like that is not like I don't get it. If I was a business owner, I would want the customer to take a look so they can't try to bring that stuff back. But he's upset that I verified I got the parts that I paid for. Isn't that crazy? So we continue going back and forth, and keep in mind, I've never had any personal conversations with Chris. Everything we've ever talked about has been specifically about cars or the service that he's basically provided for me. Keep in mind, once I had my theory that I had been scammed, I stopped talking to them until I had proof, which is when I went to Majestic to get that test hit. But he hits me with this, which is probably, to this day, I'm still aggravated by this. But he ended up using my rank. Keep in mind, I don't even know how he knew my rank. But he ended up saying, as a master sergeant, which is my rank, you should know how to communicate, or something along those lines. And I was livid, man. I was pissed. Just because that is so, like, outside like, you crossed the line, basically. Like, I never gave you permission to bring my personal life into this. And this was like the final straw for me, just because this is how they talk to you. And this is something that other guys have also said about the shop. This is the way that they talk to you. They talk down to you, and they talk to you like you're a kid. And it's just very aggravating, just because, like, who the fuck do you think you are? And of course his response is, after I was like, don't fucking do that, is he goes like, oh Lord, oh yeah, I don't mean it that way, yada yada, you're overreacting. But like, nobody gave you permission to do that. So we continue to go back and forth, and that's pretty much the end of the conversation. I ended up making the video. Chris didn't like it, so he thought to himself, hey, I'm gonna freaking go on there and make some stuff up and block him so he can't see it. And that's basically where everything ended. They took this scam to new heights, just because he ended up knowing what he did, and he still posted the results on social media afterwards, which he deleted, but I got screenshots of them. And in the comments, actually, funny enough, in the comments, somebody ended up posting that basically they had no idea that Chris tuned on Haltech. He said something along the lines of, oh, are you tuning Haltech now? And now that I gathered everything, and now that we know everything, this guy just didn't know what he was doing. He started off, so Haltech provides default maps for specific cars. He started off the tune for this car with a default 2500 map. So it was a very bare bones. It wasn't configured like with the basics for this car, which was something we figured out last, which Zach was kind enough to explain to us. So he messed that up. And I alluded to that way before I went to Corr Performance. I actually reached out to one of the homies because the car was running like shit. So I reached out to him and I was like, yo, I think this is why the car is running the way that it is. This message is for Chris Carby if you're watching. If you think you're going to try to make yourself look better by making another post and basically reaching for stuff and lying about different things, I would encourage you not to. As of right now, I don't plan on, spreading this stuff around. I'm just going to share it on my platform. But if I find out that you're making other posts, man, I will share this with the world. And I find it unbelievable that after what you did, you're upset about me making videos about it. Like, you're lucky I haven't filed a lawsuit, honestly. In conclusion, if you want to get treated like a child, if you wanted to get treated by an unprofessional business owner, if you wanted to get disrespected, if you wanted to potentially even get scammed or deal with an arrogant prick, go to Slowpoke Tuning. Anyways, to finish off the video on a positive note, the car is good thanks to the guys over at Corr Performance. All this bad experience with Chris Carvey has led me to them, and that has been a blessing in disguise. So if you have anything at all, anything you need or anything you want to say, post them in the comments. YouTube does have this feature where if you post something crazy, it'll automatically delete it for you. I'm going to disable that for this particular video, just in case Chris wants to go in there and post something on trying to defend himself. But that's going to be removed for this video. If you go in there and you start posting some crazy stuff, I'm over it, man. I don't know how much more proof you need from this whole situation. It's all in black and white. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. I appreciate you joining me in this journey. More positive videos to come. Take it easy. I'm out. Peace.